right, what's up, fellas? Wake Up Mintzy, presented by Dude Wipes. We're sounding a hell of a lot better now. We got it figured out thanks to our technical team. As always, at least we have Dude Wipes to clean up all of our messes. It's a toilet paper revolution. You find them at Walmart, Amazon, Target, nationwide. You'll never need crappy toilet paper again. One use of Dude Wipes will change your life. And as always, going to chug some Stella Blue coffee on this beautiful, fine Chicago summer Friday morning. All right, let's get it rolling because it's a great Father's Day weekend. Bunch of stuff to get to. The College World Series starts today in Omaha at 1 p.m. 2 games today, UNC in Virginia and Florida State, Tennessee falling at 6. Last night, man, boy, it's tough for sports. Both the NBA and NHL finals could be sweeps. The Florida Panthers holding on for dear life to a 4-3 win on the road at Edmonton. They had a 4-1 lead. Edmonton fought back hard in the third period, but it was not enough. And man, so 3-0 in the NHL Finals, Florida leading. 3-0 Boston Celtics leading over Dallas. Game 4 tonight, Dave Portnoy in the house at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. He's bringing his broom with him. Our boy Donnie does world down there as well. Looking forward to watching the NBA Finals Game 4. Kind of hoping Dallas fights back and makes it a little bit of a series. We'll see. U.S. Open going on in golf, and damn, that course is playing tough. Rory McIlroy's already 2 over today. Patrick Cantlay, the leader at 5 under. These greens are playing hard. They're playing fast. It's a war of attrition out there, but that's always kind of fun because it's like the U.S. Open makes everybody feel like a regular golfer. And, you know, makes you identify more just seeing the top pros struggle like regular people. We've got a bunch of stuff to get into today. A wild Dave Portnoy Unnamed show with Kirk Minahan and Ryan Whitney yesterday. Rico, pretty funny in the sling. I got to give Rico credit, though. He did get banged up pretty bad on Monday in the Kirk Minahan show, Barstool basketball game. Also, shout out to Will Compton and Taylor Lewan. In a classic Barstool fashion, the beer games were looking like a rough situation in Vegas. They moved it to Nashville, and now Bert Kreischer back in it. And beer games is going to be in Nashville, and it's going to be a big success. I feel like that's kind of like a microcosm of Barstool. You get into a little bit of a sticky situation, and then it always ends up kind of working out. And at least that's kind of what my career feels like it's been up here. We're going to be joined by Ben Upton of the #1 college baseball podcast, 11.7, to preview the College World Series today. As always, you can find lines on DraftKings. Virginia, North Carolina starting at 1. UNC, the #4 seed, the ACC champions, a minus $1.35 favorite. Virginia coming back at plus 105. The 12 seed also out of the ACC, over under of 12. And then a night game, super exciting. Tennessee, the #1 overall seed in the tournament, SEC champs, SEC tournament champs, will be taking on Florida State, and Tennessee favorite in that. Tomorrow, 2 games, NC State, Kentucky, with Kentucky being minus 145. And then the late game, Texas A&M, Florida, Texas A&M minus 195. It's a double elimination tournament, 2 different brackets, but excited to see what happens. Last night, the Barstool opening night Jello shot party at Rocco's. And man, Moody, I got to be honest, those Jello shot numbers seemed a little sad. You know, I saw those numbers up there. I mean, nobody's going to beat LSU, who had like 66,000 last year. I mean, that's a number. You know, some records are meant to not be broken. Ole Miss had like 25,000 the year before. And no LSU in Omaha, you can feel it on the Jello shot thing. But I think Kentucky has the lead right now, and I think they're going to be the leader. We're going to be joined now by Ben Upton of 11.7, the #1 college baseball podcast in America, and a good friend of mine going back to 2021 Omaha. If you hadn't checked out 11.7, him and Jack DeLonge, I always mess up Jack's. I say DeLonge. Yeah, that's it. Whatever. They crushed growing and love that. So Ben, what's up, man? How are you this morning?
Dude, I'm doing really well. Appreciate you for having me on. And man, it's always the best time of the year, right? It's
not here, Ben.
You can't hear me? Oh,
right.
Boy.
Oh, Ben, we're so sorry, bro. Like I apologize so much to you, Ben. You've been a great sport this morning. It's been so chalk, and I apologize to you, brother.
Wait, so you guys cannot hear me right now?
Well, while we're doing that and trying to figure
I don't think it's on your end at all.
While we're figuring out, Ben, I'm going to get into these games because right now, as always, on DraftKings, you can find the odds to the College World Series, and DraftKings, we're DK partners here at Barstool. They do a spectacular job. The current odds to win the College World Series, Tennessee.
They can hear him. We can't hear him. Something's going on in here.
Okay.
I mean, that's y'all are going to have a conversation though. You can ask him a question, and he can talk
All
about
right.
it.
All right.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Fuck it. Let's do it. We're just running it. Let's go.
All right. I'm going to ask Ben questions.
Yep.
Just give Ben,
Yep.
and I'm going to give Ben 30 seconds.
And I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you when he stops talking.
Yeah.
All right.
Moody. Yeah. That's what we're gonna. That's what we're gonna do. And appreciate Ben for being a good sport. Because so I'll ask Ben a question, and then I'll have Moody nod at me when he's done talking. This is gonna be hilarious.
Let's just make it happen.
This is gonna be hilarious. All right, Ben. First of all, college series starts today. Game 1, Virginia, North Carolina. Virginia plus 105, UNC minus 135, over under 12. These two teams in the ACC extremely familiar with each other. What you think about this matchup?
It's a really, really intriguing matchup, and I'll tell you why. North Carolina is starting a freshman, Jason DeCaro. And anytime you have a freshman going the first game of Omaha, the jitters are going to be there, right? And although his numbers have been great, it's just something about an 18-year-old, 19-year-old on the big stage with everybody watching on TV. Sometimes that doubt starts trickling into your mind, right? And we've seen it happen before in Omaha. On the other side, Evan Blanco has been fabulous for Virginia, left-handed sophomore. And this is a Virginia team that has been to Omaha several times over the last 5 years. So, in my opinion, I think there's a lot of value taking Virginia here, game 1. There's 0 holes in their offensive lineup, too. 1 through 9, they stroke. But, yeah, I'm leaning Virginia here.
You're up, Mintzy.
All right. My thoughts on this game, I like the under 12 a little bit because these Omaha games, it's harder to hit it out. It's 408, and a lot of balls that don't get out. We get out all year, don't get out in Omaha. They just don't even make the warning track. Wind usually blowing in. I've seen Carolina kind of play lower score games in the tournament. Virginia has 336 as a team, but their pitching staff hasn't has pitched well in the tournament for the most part. So I actually think this is going to be like a 5-4 game that can kind of go either way. So I'm going under 12. I guess I slightly lean Carolina minus $1.35. I was impressed with the way they pulled out the LSU and West Virginia Supers. I think Vance Honeycutt's the best player in the tournament. They're two-time ACC, well, second best to Jack Nicholson, but the two-time ACC Player of the Year in the center. Has hit multiple home runs, made diving catches. He's having a hell of a tournament. So I'm going to look out for that. But I like Sprague, the lefty pitcher for Carolina, those change-ups too. So I lean Carolina. Night game tonight. This is a hell of a matchup. Florida State's an underdog. I think they're coming back at like plus 140. Jamie Arnold, the lefty, goes mid to high 90s. Tournament. I can see a world where Florida State possibly pulls an upset here. Ben, do you give Florida State to Tennessee? What do you think of this matchup over under 10.5 on DraftKings?
Yeah, this matchup has all the star power in the world. Not only from Tennessee's lineup with Billy Amick and Christian Moore and Blake Burke and those guys who are going to be major league players here very soon. I mean, you look at Florida State's roster, and they have James Tibbs, Jamie Farrar, Cam Smith might be one of the most talented players here in the whole tournament. And then they get to start Jamie Arnold on the mound, who, in my opinion, will be the first pitcher taken in next year's draft. He's starting up against a Tennessee offense that's ruthless. They are physical, they're giants, and they hit the ball really hard. So, in my opinion, I'm leaning the under in this game, although there is a lot of offensive star power. I think both guys are going to be throwing strikes, challenging hitters, and you're going to see a lot of weak contact. So I'm leaning under 11 in this game. It's just too hard to pick a winner. I think you get a lot of value. Florida State plus 150 with potentially the best pitcher in the tournament throwing for them. But I'm not going to pick a winner. I'm going to take the under here.
You're up, Mintzy.
All right, going to the Saturday games. Okay, my thoughts on that Friday night game, like I said, I'm leaning Florida State with Arnold. I think they can get this done, and I can see Tennessee coming out of the losers bracket just like they did in the SEC with Kearney and Hoover and still possibly making the national championship, even though, man, it's brutal on these college teams. If you lose game 1, you got to win 4 in a row to make the national championship series. So it puts a lot of pressure. So huge one. Tennessee, when you look at this program, 3rd Omaha trip in 4 years, SEC champs, SEC tournament champs, Tony Vitello, they've done everything but win it all. So is this the year 1 seed final? First time since like 98 or 99. It's kind of like a kiss of death to college baseball to be the number 1 overall seed. Tennessee's been the best program in the last 4 years. And I think that side of the bracket is tougher with Tennessee, Florida State, and North Carolina. The other side of the bracket, Saturday, 1 o'clock, Kentucky's first trip to the College World Series. Nick Mingione done a spectacular job coaching them up. Big Blue Nation invading Omaha. I think they're going to have the biggest fan base represented. It's kind of weird seeing Kentucky as our baseball school. They hadn't made it past the Sweet 16 in basketball since like 2019, and now they're in Omaha in the College World Series, number 2 seed. They got Trey Boozer, ace who throws like low to mid-90s with a big sink, and his ball moves a lot. Pitcher with the red hot NC State Wolfpack game, and NC State, obviously, I've been very outspoken about having them 35-1 to win the College World Series. I took them the week before the ACC tournament. They don't have an ace that's as good as Boozer. They do have 3 good bullpen arms, 3 solid starters. They hit line drives everywhere. Kentucky kind of designed to play well in Omaha. Bunting, hitting, running, stealing bases. Not so reliant on the home run. I know, Ben, you picked Kentucky to win the national title before the tournament. So you got to be feeling pretty good about the Wildcats. What you think about this matchup?
Yeah, this matchup's like one of the most intriguing to me as far as just like I think the winner of this game potentially wins the whole national championship. Like that's how strongly I feel about both NC State and Kentucky. I think that they've been 2 of the most consistent teams all year, especially starting conference play on. NC State probably has the best resume as far as weekend series wins out of anybody left. Man, what they've been able to do with a very young bullpen and having those guys step up in big situations all year and deliver, like Jacob Duden and Derek Smith and those guys, they've been a lot of fun to watch, and they have so much to look forward to in the future too. But I did pick Kentucky before the tournament started to be my national champion, and it's just because they have so many different ways to beat you. They have a very, very old veteran pitching staff. They got 8 guys in the lineup that can steal bases. Everybody handles the bat well. And on top of all that, like something that gets overlooked in college baseball, they play some of the best defense in the country. So give me Kentucky to win this game, but I still believe in storylines. And one of the storylines around this year's College World Series is, can NC State redeem themselves from that 2021 team that got screwed in Omaha because of the COVID situation? So I know they'll be America's team this week. Everybody's rooting for the Wolfpack.
And finally, I'm taking NC State plus 114, but I'm homering at this point. I do think Kentucky has the pitching edge with Boozer. I'm hoping with Kentucky this being the first trip to Omaha, maybe that's a thing. Not only NC State back trying to get revenge from 2021. It's the best story of the whole tournament. Everyone knows they made the Final Four in 2021 and had to forfeit because of COVID. It was one of the greatest American tragedies. Their coach, Coach Avent, 68 years old. This would be his last trip there. And, man, I think NC State making a run at this title would be the best story of the tournament. And the following night game, Florida kind of giving vibes of 2022 Ole Miss, last team in the field, 28-27 regular season record, top 5 preseason, but struggled in that season. Then it seems like these freshmen that pitch have become sophomores, so led by Jack Caglione, who's basically the Shohei Ohtani of college baseball. It's like 34 runs. He just signed a deal with Topps. To him, Florida, pretty good underdog price here, coming back at like plus 150, A&M minus 195. A&M's the number 3 overall seed. Great hitting lineup, had a spectacular year, but they're playing without their All-American Braden Montgomery, who broke his ankle in game 2 of the season. They've also got some other injuries they're dealing with. And I feel like Texas A&M is overvalued here because of their injuries, and I also don't know how well designed they are for Omaha. So when you look at A&M, they're so reliant on the home run, but I don't know how good their pitching staff is. They do have Ryan Prager pitching. He's been good on Friday nights. Florida going with the freshman. I don't know. I'm leaning Florida plus 150 here. I think it's a good price. I feel like this game can go either way. And what you think about this one?
Yeah, listen, we got to watch this Florida team all year struggle in games, especially like they were a type of team that would play up to their competition or down to their competition. And since the postseason started, I mean, they've been playing up to their competition and winning a lot of games. Obviously, they have Jack Caglione, who might go down as like top 5 college baseball player of all time. What he's been able to do not only on the mound but at the plate over the last 2 years has been incredible. The big storyline though, Texas A&M, one of the most successful seasons they've had as a program, and sure enough, like over like the last 3 games, they've lost 2 of their biggest pieces. They lost their number 2 starter, their Saturday starter, to an arm injury. He's done for the year. Braden Montgomery, who people were talking about maybe him going 1 overall in the MLB draft, breaks his ankle. He's out for the year. So there is a lot of adversity. Now, one funny thing about Texas A&M is they get to replace an All-American, Braden Montgomery, with Jeff Kent's son. Everybody remembers Jeff Kent, protecting Barry Bonds in the lineup for those, San Francisco Giants teams. Well, his son gets to step in. He hits a go-ahead grand slam against Oregon in their super regional. And it's like, wow, this kid's going to be a star. So they have depth. They have the offense to, outslug teams. It's just really going to be like, how do they rally around missing 2 of their biggest pieces that got them this far? I do lean A&M to win this game. I think Jim Schlossnagle, their head coach, is a mastermind. And I think he's going to have this club ready to go.
Okay, I want to look at odds to win the College World Series now on DraftKings. I'm going to run through it right now and just see if you think there's any value on anybody. Tennessee plus 290 favorite, A&M 7-2, Kentucky 9-2, North Carolina 13-2, Florida State 8-1, NC State all the way down to 9-1. They were 12-1 when the College World Series odds opened. Virginia 10-1, and finally Florida 13-1. I know, Ben, you picked Kentucky before the tournament. When you look at these odds, do you see any value? To me, the Florida Gators are hot. 13-1 seems like a good price still. That kind of sticks out to me as maybe the greatest value, but do you see any value on this?
Yeah, I think the biggest value lays with NC State. Their odds did drop. They did come in at 12-1. Now they're bought all the way down to 9-1. But you look at a team that, even if they lose game 1, they have the depth to get through the losers bracket, and they have that postseason magic, right? This feels like the redeem team that I mentioned earlier, where they have the storyline, they have the buzz, they're going to have the crowd advantage. I think anybody that is at the College World Series that doesn't have a team that they're pulling for, they're going to migrate over to the NC State side. I think 9-1 is ridiculous for how well they've played all year long, and the amount of quality wins that this team has. So, give me NC State 9-1 as like the best value on the board.
Hell yeah, Ben. I love it. It's a movement on the NC State Wolfpack. I got Big Cat on him 35-1 before the tournament, so I'm hoping he's going to get involved sometime during Omaha if they make a run. But, they opened 12-1 in Omaha, and then a lot of money came in on them 9-1. I love hearing you say they got a good shot. I think, the winner of it, it's just so important to win that first game. But if they do stay in the winner's bracket, I think they got a good shot. Do you also feel that A&M is A&M the most overvalued team? Do you think is that an out-of-line opinion by me?
Yeah, no, I think right now, as far as like what the odds say, yeah, of course, like they're missing their All-American and they're missing their number 2 starter. Like that's hard to replace at this point in the season. Like they're going to need guys to step up that haven't done it during the regular season. So yeah, A&M's odds are way too low for what they're dealing with.
All right. Well, Ben, I also want to ask, this is Father's Day weekend. A lot of fun. I'm sure, do you have any, I know you're a big romantic baseball fan. Do you have any fun memories of you and your dad from your childhood or your college career? Anything you want to share?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like my dad was the one that got me into the sport of baseball. Like I remember sitting up every single night watching Astros games with him from the age of like 2 years old to 18 years old when I moved out. And he's always been my biggest supporter, like a guy that, got to travel and see me play in college and got to see me play every single high school game. He would, coach my travel ball teams and things like that. So it was really just like an all-encompassing experience I had with him around the game of baseball. So yeah, I mean, shout out to Ray, my dad. He's the best.
Hell yeah. Love hearing that. My poor dad, I had such a bad temper growing up that my dad would like try to come watch my tennis matches. And I'd just be like, I was like a spoiled brat, just throwing my tennis racket all over the court when I'd lose. I was just a mental nutcase. And so he quit coming to my matches, and I don't blame him. But I did always get a lot of support from him. And he's coming up here for 75th birthday in a couple of weeks for Rolling Stones with my sister and brother-in-law. So shout out to Steve. He put up with a lot, and he's where I get all my quirky personality stuff. But I love the Father's Day U.S. Open College World Series tradition. I think it's awesome. I also let's highlight some of the stuff that 11.7 is doing. So I saw, what the hell is Jack driving across the country to get to Omaha?
You see, Jack is built different than a lot of people. This guy is wired to he's wired to content. Like he wants to put the best content out that anybody does in the realm of baseball in general, right? And like, sure, Jack could have flown to Omaha. Like he could have flown and been very comfortable and, got to his hotel and this and that. But no, he wanted to take a step further. He got an RV, 22-foot. He calls it the Teal Ninja. And he drove it from Charleston, South Carolina to Omaha. It took him like 25 hours on the road. And he's parking it in the parking lot and sleeping in that instead of a nice, comfy hotel, just because he wants to be around the fans. He wants to be able to wake up at 4 a.m. and start tailgating. Like that is the type of content brain that Jack has. And he's built different. I respect him.
No, I've gotten to know him through you this year, and I could not agree more. He is he gets out, he takes it to the people. He's also got great relationships, everybody in college baseball. I love what he's brought to 11.7. I love his attitude and energy. He was taking some funny stops in the Teal Ninja. I was following the content yesterday. I guess he was taking like food wrecks around America.
Yeah, he was doing gas station food reviews. He said he's still alive because of those. He was nervous about one of the slices of pizza he had. He said it tasted awful. But he also entered a raffle to win this like driving lawnmower, which like he doesn't even have a lawn, so he wouldn't even need the lawnmower. But he entered a raffle in the middle of like Iowa, and they're giving away a really nice driving lawnmower that he wants to win. He really, really wants to pick it up on the way home and bring it back. So yeah,
but he doesn't have a lawn. I don't understand.
No.
Maybe he's trying to give that to his dad for Father's Day. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, 11.7 continues to grow. Y'all are number one college baseball pod. Obviously, I met you in Omaha in 2021. How are you feeling about the current state of it?
Yeah, it's completely different, right, than 2021 when it was the first really big sporting event that happened after like the COVID stuff was over with, which we thought was over with. But then, sure enough, NC State gets banged with some positive COVID tests. And like, I remember being there with you just being like, wow, this feels like Omaha is going to burn down because of this. There were people not very happy about it. But yeah, I mean, 3 years ago, we got to meet in person and been really good friends since. I don't know. I think the sport of college baseball in general has grown tremendously over like the last 5 years specifically. And like, I really do think it's the sport of the future. Like more and more people are becoming invested in it, whether they're gambling or whether they're, just following their favorite college football or basketball team. This sport is it's grown a lot. And, I'm very happy because of it.
What do you think, just looking ahead on it, first of all, you just mentioned the gambling aspect. How much has that helped having sites like DraftKings, having, run lines, over unders on games?
I can't tell you how much it's helped the sport grow with like, as far as like viewership numbers, attendance numbers, and in just general knowledge about college baseball, right? Because once they started putting out, daily lines for single games during the season, and also having like a bunch of different futures markets, you see it like that whole gambling crowd, the sports gambling crowd, start doing their research on college baseball and watching games and posting clips on social media. And it's one of these sports that like once you get involved, it's hard to turn away because of how exciting and like how unpredictable this sport is. So I think the gambling aspect has helped a lot grow this sport in popularity.
I totally agree. And, it was always kind of a sport growing up where I would watch my favorite team play, but then I wouldn't really be as much into other teams. And then now with the gambling, I'm into everything. When you look at like how they do college baseball lines, I feel like there's value in underdogs a lot because they make the favorites too big of favorites, because you mentioned how unpredictable it is. Do you have anything you notice about just like following lines in college baseball?
Yeah, a lot of it is I think a lot of the lines are made pretty lazily. So I think there is like, whether you're betting favorites or you're betting underdogs, you can find value. If there's a list of 20 games going on that day, there's going to be 4 or 5 that are mispriced, right? So if you do your research, you should be able to find those games on whether it's like bullpen availability or teams that are just like red hot at the time. Sometimes the lines don't actually match what the circumstances are. So since it is still relatively new, there's a lot of mispriced lines that I think maybe not take advantage of, but at least find more value in than a lot of other sports.
I'm curious, how do you follow this? Because it's always sometimes hard in college to follow the starting pitching stuff. How do you do that?
Most of the Power 5 teams are pretty good about listing probable starters before the weekend starts. So, on their team write-ups or their team notes like tab when they're previewing the weekend. They'll put like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday starter probable, and it usually sticks to it unless they have to use a guy out of the bullpen that was projected to start on Sunday or whatever. So you just go to the team websites for the most part.
That's cool. I feel like somebody needs to like centralize, put those all up in some kind of spot or on a website.
There is one, FridayStarters.com. They're kind of new to the block, maybe 2 years old, but it's a website that they actually go in and do the research and post it on their site, probable starters for the weekend. So I use Friday Starters a lot. In fact, they have probable starters up for the whole College World Series right now with stats and everything. Like they're really good at what they do.
I couldn't hear your analysis of Florida State, Tennessee, but I now hear you very well. Is Tennessee going with Drew Beam tonight?
No, they're going with Chris Stamos. Is like an opener type, and he's a graduate senior left-handed pitcher, and they're going to piggyback probably AJ. Oh my God, AJ, not AJ Russell. I forgot his last name, but he's the Jacksonville State transfer, kind of sidearm righty. They're going to like kind of mix and match those two like they've done a lot on Fridays this year.
Okay. What do you think about Jamie Arnold against Tennessee?
I think that it's going to go one of two ways. Like if he can attack the strike zone and not kind of nibble. Sometimes Jamie Arnold will nibble around against good teams. His stats against good competition is not very good compared to like the lower end competition where he's been dominant. But if he goes in and attacks and throws strikes and doesn't like compound mistakes with, walk, hit by pitches and things like that, I think he'll be just fine. Like his stuff plays at the SEC level, ACC level. And I said it earlier, I think next year he'll be the number one pitcher taken in the draft.
Yeah, I'm always curious. The Omaha thing, it's gotten Tennessee in the past before, and I mentioned it with A&M. These teams that like just hit bombs all year long, it's just so much harder to hit it out of Omaha, but it seems like the balls might have a little more juice now.
Yeah, and one more thing, like a thing that Tennessee has this year, which I don't think they've had in the past, like sure, they still rely on the home run ball. They lead the country in home runs. They're probably going to set an NCAA record for most home runs hit in a season. Like that's how good they've been. But compared to other teams, like this Tennessee team has on-base percentage, like everybody in the lineup has like a 400 plus on-base percentage, which is different. They lived and died by the long ball in 2021. Those type of teams that live and die by the long ball, they do struggle in Omaha, but Tennessee's like whole offensive approach this year is way different. And like, if they can get some runners on and then hit a 3-run homer, that's completely different than hitting a solo homer in the top of the first. Right. So, I think their offense is way more dangerous this year than in years past.
Well, that's going to be interesting to see if Jamie Arnold will be able to pound the strike zone. He allowed 4 runs in like 6 innings against UConn last week. Didn't necessarily look his best, but luckily for them, Florida State scored enough runs in that super regional or it wasn't necessarily a problem. But I'm definitely curious about that matchup tonight. Kind of the way you're talking about it kind of has me leaning over 10.5, maybe a little bit.
I like the under. I think when you get like really, really talented pitching in these positions and like veteran guys, like both teams are going to roll out. I think it's going to be hard to put 2 or 3 hits together. Versus like in the first game, I'm kind of leaning the over. Like you get a couple young guys on the mound who aren't as experienced to start the games. You might see like 2 or 3 runs scored in the top of the first and 2 or 3 runs scored in the bottom of the first. And, it kind of just puts more pressure on the bullpen to lengthen the game, right? So I'm kind of leaning the over on the first game and the under on the second game because I know what the starters have entail. Yeah,
the Virginia Carolina is fascinating with how familiar those teams are with each other. And I was talking to Kyle Peterson. I mean, he kind of said he liked all the he sort of leaned all the underdogs because he thinks it's all anything can happen.
Yeah, I'm right there with him. I think if you bet all 4 underdogs, I think they go 2-2 and you profit. Just personally, don't take my advice. I'm usually pretty bad at this, but
nah, you've been more good than bad. You just got a little cold in the tournament, but I mean,
overall, I did. I got cold in the tournament, but yeah, I think if you took all 4 underdogs, I think 2 of them will win because you get a lot of value with Virginia, Florida State, NC State, and Florida, right? Like those are the 4 teams that have been playing really good baseball and like haven't really slipped up yet. I think 2 of them will win.
Is UNC? You said they're going with they're not going with Sprague, the lefty today. They're going with the freshman.
That's what I saw was Jason DeCaro, the freshman, who's been really good.
He's very, very talented.
Yeah, I mean, he's been good, but I just don't. It's hard to trust an 18-year-old in this situation, right? First game at Omaha, the jitters will be there.
Oh, I'm sure. And UNC's first trip back since 2018, I believe, even though they're certainly familiar with Omaha. Virginia, third time in 4 years, feels like they're getting awful comfortable in Omaha. The Omahoos, I guess is what they're saying.
Yeah.
But man, I just can't wait to get this started. For the last thing for you, what's 11.7's content plan? I know you got Jack, his boots on the ground, and y'all recording every day.
Yeah, we're going to be putting out more episodes this week. Jack will have boots on the ground. I'll probably join him next week
Nice.
up there in Omaha. So the plan is we're just going to continue to do what we've always done, and that's just basically make up stuff and plan stuff the day of, and just try to make unique content, stuff that you can't find anywhere else from a D1 baseball or Baseball America or anybody else that covers college baseball. We want to be a little bit different. Like, we want to make things a little bit more exciting because we think that will bring more fans to the sport of college baseball.
Well, I think you're doing it. I mean, the 11.7 growth is crazy. Follow at the number at 11.7 on Twitter. Y'all are around 70,000 Twitter followers. And then y'all social media, the job y'all do is incredible. I'm glad to hear you're going to try to make it out there next week. The Omaha thing, unbelievable trip. It ain't the most convenient is the one thing about it. I mean, the hotels and flights are murder out there. And so I think that's a good strategy. But the opening weekends, especially with all 8 teams out there, is tough. But hopefully you can get out there sometime next week.
Yeah, that's the plan. I have a 2-year-old son, so it's sometimes tough to plan around a 2-year-old who makes his own decisions, right? So, the plan is to go out there sometime next week.
Heck yeah. Well, hopefully your 2-year-old treats you good on Father's Day on Sunday, watching the College World Series with you. That doesn't sound like a bad weekend. Well, Ben, as always, thanks for bearing with us. Appreciate you. Love 11.7. Love our relationship. And let's make some money this weekend.
Let's do it. Appreciate it, Mintzy. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Ben Upton of 11.7. Always killing it, man. I'm such a big 11.7 fan. And Moody, I know you've gotten to know him too. Ben's such a good dude.
Yeah, Ben's a great guy. No doubt about it.
We had a lot of fun with him in Hoover. At the SEC tourney, him and Jack, and then Jack tearing up the content, as he said on Twitter. Follow at J the Long Champs is how it's spelled. But anyway, also good Barstool news. Brandon Walker tweeting out he's going to be back in the office on Monday. We good to have him back. Dozen tournament next week. Really pumped. They announced all the matchups. They're going to be live from the office. Smock and our team with Titus, me, and Ken Jack, the 9 seed. We take on the 8 seed Chicago, which is Kelly Keeg. I don't know how Kelly Keeg's. She doesn't live or work in Chicago, but she's on Chicago, but who knows, with White Sox, Dave, and Chief. So that's our first round matchup. And if we somehow win our first rounder, we take on Dave Portnoy's team, him, Eddie, and Clem, the number 1 seed ZD in the second round. Still, I believe, a few tickets available for the Riviera next Thursday night, the Dozen Championship. Get them because they're going to sell out. Get them before they sell out. Riviera, great venue in Chicago. Can't wait to get out there with the Stoolies. Hoping Smockin makes a kind of a Cinderella run and can make the Final Four. But that's events next Thursday night, June 20th. The office is going to be popping next week. It's so much fun. It seems like once every 6 or 8 weeks, everybody's in the Chicago office or something big, and it's just like a different energy around the company. Everybody's going to be here next week for that Dozen tournament. Super excited about that. Ready to watch the College World Series and U.S. Open. And then, keep an eye on Dave Portnoy. Celtics going for championship banner number 18. He wins like $1.6 million if the Celtics win the title off a parlay he did with the Celtics title and Scotty Scheffler to win the RBC Heritage. And look, I'll call it like it is. When Dave Portnoy's winning millions of dollars in gambling, he's in a better mood, which makes working at Barstool a lot better when Dave's happy. So when happy boss, happy life at Barstool. So hopefully the Celtics win this they're going to win the title. I'm just curious to see if Dallas can squeak one out. And then once again, like I said, Florida Panthers up 3-0 in NHL, looking to win their first Stanley Cup title. So College World Series, U.S. Open, and golf. I mean, NHL Finals, NBA Finals, Father's Day. I mean, what a weekend. Cardinals are here playing the Cubs all weekend at Wrigley Field. I mean, just June, most underrated sports month of the year. I say it all the time. You got the French Open in tennis just happened too. Just so much going on in June. It kind of slows down in July. I actually have a theory that the NBA should start their season Christmas Day instead of October and then just do the play finals in like late July, early August, just to give everybody more content. Because I do love that the World Series of Poker does the main event after July 4th and has their week in the sun. And I'm personally super excited about getting out to Vegas Saturday, June 29th, and going to play some warm-up events and play the World Series May in July 6th. So that's looming too. So it's going to be a great summer. I mean, Chicago, weather's awesome. Loving it here. Got WSOP coming up and Red Rocks, and what could be better? So shout out Tyler Moody, Steph and our team, Ben Upton. Love you guys. Y'all are awesome. And we'll be back on Tuesday. Next week's Wake Up Mintzy going to be super fun with all the dozen guys in the office. Definitely going to run down Glenny Balls to make his first Wake Up Mintzy appearance next week. That much I can promise you. And we've got some fun activities planned. The chat gave us a lot of suggestions. We got a lot of fun stuff. We're going to get a little crazy next week here on the show. And as always, thanks to Dude Wipes and Stella Blue for sponsoring us. And everybody have a great Father's Day weekend. Enjoy your dads. We'll be back Tuesday.